Hey kids, you're listening to A Couple of Annoyed Grunt Boys, and this is the 138th Simpsons podcast. Hey everyone, and welcome to this week's episode of the 138th Simpsons podcast. It's the podcast where we talk about the American animated sitcom The Simpsons, but from only seasons 11 and beyond, because we hate ourselves. I'm half a host, Craig.
And I'm your other half host who also hates himself, Steve.
Steve, it's nice chatting with you. How have you been?
I've been good. Had a kind of interesting day the other day at work.
Oh, do tell.
Well, I worked a morning shift, which is something that I normally don't do, and you'd think a morning shift would be calmer instead of people being drunk. But we had a guest who's this kid in his 20s. He's homeless-ish, but he will come in and spend about $30 a day on little CBD shots and coffee. But he's not all well mentally, and sometimes, unfortunately, he'll punch himself.
Ew.
Really hard, harder than you can hear how hard it is. I wouldn't want him to punch me that hard. So we try and help him out as best we can, and he usually just kind of communicates with us, but he only really hurts himself, and so we just try and take care of him. But the other day, he was kind of acting out, and we had to have him escorted.
You had to get an escort for him?
Yes. So there's a service in downtown Portland called Clean and Safe, and they basically take care of issues with, drugs and transients and whatnot. And he yelled a lot of words very loudly that can't be said on network television.
Well, we're not network.
And yeah.
So it's this escort service that, how much for an HJ?
Helping with junkies, it's free. I think we pay for it through our taxes.
How much for a BJ?
A belligerent junkie?
How much for a JJ?
Dynamite.
That was good.
Yeah, it's good that we brought some levity, because that story, I realized after I started telling it, it's just really bleak and sad. But yeah, he called the person a word that starts with C and ends in T, and it's not a carrot.
A cataract? So we
that works.
We just won't use the slang word that our fellow British fellows like to use, right?
Right, yeah.
Okay, so yeah, that sounds kind of sad about your fellow.
It was. Yeah, so let's move away from that, because, it is bleak. What about you, Craig?
My last couple days have been a little bit bonkers at work. I went into work yesterday and logged into my computer, and the program I use that pretty much is the program that I work with, right?
Mm-hmm.
I put my username and password. Everything's fine.
Chucky Lover 57.
And when I get to try to use the program, it says employee doesn't exist, which is weird. And so the only other person that uses the program, in the same place that I work, I sent it over to her and I said, can you log in? And she couldn't either. It said the same thing. Now, the company I work for and this program that I use is a different company. So we are contracted out through a different company, right, to use this program. So we emailed them, and it turns out every quarter, the person that's in charge at that company, in charge of us authorizing using that program, they let it slip and slide, and they dropped the ball essentially to make sure that we were authorized to use this program. So they screwed up and didn't say that we were allowed to. So the team that's responsible for that program that we use terminated us from that program.
Oh.
So they had to go back and rehire us through this program.
Wow.
And it usually takes up to 5 days to get approval or whatever. So that was yesterday, and it was all, emails going back and forth, making sure this happens. And then today going into work, it still wasn't going through. So they said by the end of this evening, I should be able to access by tomorrow morning to use my program. So I spent the past 2 days at work literally sitting on my ass, not doing anything because I can't do anything. But I still show up, work 8 hours, and so I sat there and just played 1,000 like rounds of Yahtzee on my phone, read a lot, and then I thought about this podcast. I was like, oh, I should do some work for this podcast, right? And so going through, when we started this podcast, I've been wanting to make a spreadsheet of seasons 11 through the current, which is 30, and making a spreadsheet of the episode number and the titles of the episode, and just marking off every time or every episode that we've done, right?
Right.
So I spent today, my entire day, doing that on Google Sheets, but
wow.
I didn't do it on my work computer because I didn't want anyone coming over and be like, why are you typing tiny titles onto a spreadsheet? This isn't your job. So I did it on my cell phone. So I was using Google Sheets.
Oh, wow.
And
that sounds exhausting.
There's not a site out there, really, where you can copy and paste the titles of the episode that I looked up, because every episode, like a list of titles, still is like a hyperlink to the link description. So if you copy and paste that link, it'll just put on the spreadsheet the entire HTML, right? The HTTP, whatever. So I'm just going through Google, like season 25, and then like listing all the episodes, and like, okay, I can spell those words, and just going back and forth through sheets on my cell phone.
So
typing, like, texting
you
words.
manually type them in? Wow.
So I spent my day putting that up, and it got me to think about our segment after we do our episode talk, and we're going to get to it because of I thought it was a little interesting of what this is the 16th episode so far we've done, which isn't a lot in podcasting terms, but it got me to thinking while I was looking at the spreadsheet about the future of this podcast and how we present it. So that's a teaser to the future of this podcast, which isn't really detrimental or anything. It's just we try to find something different to do each week and not just doing trivia or casting, one of the casting ones, but, playing games.
Yeah.
So I thought this would be a fun little segment we're going to do coming up. So that's a teaser. Again, Steve doesn't know about this, guys. I come up with this stuff. I give him a little hint of like what I'm going to tell him. So his reactions are always genuine. So
yeah, I'm excited to see what will happen.
He might hate it. You guys might hate it. I think it's not a bad idea, but also I'm the one who totally didn't predict anything about Games of Thrones this season. So speaking of which, Steve, did you watch this week's episode of Game of Thrones?
Yeah, kind of a sleeper episode. Not a lot happened.
Except for everything.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Everybody died.
I'll be quick on this. It was the best episode for me in this season. One thing, you could see everything. There was actually some great shots.
No Starbucks
cups. There was a Dutch Brothers cup, but I'll forgive them. They did start in Westeros. The internet's just so... I'm annoyed with the internet with the show in general. It's like everyone was like spoilerless by the way, guys. But the fucking Khaleesi, she's meant to do what she just did in this episode. That's the whole point of her character. Is you're supposed to like her and think she's gonna change, but she's not. She's gonna burn everyone down. We got to see what she was supposed to do.
Everybody did the thing that they were supposed to do. The Hound and the mountain battle.
Oh my god! Awesome. There's no way you can kill the mountain anyway, right? Fucking just you sacrifice yourself to kill him, or eventually, right?
Yeah,
that was an amazing scene. Yeah, no, the fuck when Mountain took like the Cersei's like one dude and just like bashed his head against the wall. Like holy shit, that was brutal.
And I loved the Hound's frustration of just like fucking die already.
And I thought Jaime and Cersei got the ending that they deserved, but it was also a happy ending for them. They were together. Incestually, whatever. So
do you think they had a happy ending?
Yeah, so that's our Game of
like a little metal hand job.
Wait, no, I read that was a flaw in the episode. Apparently, when you saw Jaime's right hand, it wasn't actually the gold hand; it was his real hand. Fuck these people. Who
So worst episode ever.
Who criticizes a TV show? Who goes on and talks about a TV show that for an hour?
Yeah, people are putting out their art, and then there's yahoos out there, just dorky white dudes who just spend all this time talking about, oh, they didn't do this, they did that. What's a jazz club? Blah, blah, blah. Stupid.
We would never do that about any TV show.
Nope. Never. So, Craig, what about that Pokemon movie that you're going to go see? Did you see it?
We actually did go see it. And as not a Pokemon fan, going in, like no expectations. So get to the theater. Oh, also I had a flask with me, so that's good.
Mm-hmm.
But it got me thinking. We went to like the normal theater, and we have like 2 theaters around us that have 21 and over viewings. But we didn't go to those theaters, and we went to just like the basic one, and I realized that was a big mistake at the time. Because as soon as we sat down, it was fine. Yeah, sure, there was some families, but all of a sudden this guy and his wife come in with like 12 kids, like obviously like babysitting, and they were super loud and obnoxious. I'm like, oh no, they're going to be horrible through the movie. But happy to say they weren't. They shut up and they watched the movie. So good on that. So I was saved by the kids, not screaming and yelling.
Nice.
As for the movie, I was genuinely surprised how much I actually liked it.
Wow.
There was like a twist ending that I didn't see coming, but I should have, because it was pretty obvious in the movie. Like looking back on it, I was like, oh, that's obvious. And so I think for that, like the movie makers did a good job of hiding that, because there's only like 12 stories you can actually tell, right? As Shakespeare said,
right.
And they got me. I was fooled, and I was with my girlfriend, and she liked the references of other, because she was a Pokemon fan, so she liked the references that they make, and
mm-hmm.
and I didn't get them, but it's fine because it doesn't matter. They did fan service, but even as someone who's not a fan can go in and walk in and enjoy this movie. So I actually highly recommend it. Like, I know you don't really go out to the movies much, but if you get a chance, Detective Pikachu, not bad. I give it a good review. I give it 7 Bart spikes out of 9. Yeah.
Wow, that's a pretty glowing review. Maybe I'll check it out. Probably won't.
But let's talk about movies from the past. How about that? Steve, what era were we at?
Yeah, let's see. We are talking about September 17th, 2006.
Steve, do you remember where you were in 2006, specifically in September?
I do believe that I had ended my first long-term relationship, and I was living alone, and I decided to go on that newfound social media site, MySpace, and befriend some of my coworkers, one of which who was on a trip to Europe, but I befriended her, and we started dating, to horrible results.
And that's how I met Steve, everyone.
Yep, you're a good boss, horrible lover.
Well, you're happy that I got the sex change, right?
Yeah, you're you now. I'm happy for that. Where were you?
Oh, weird. You know what? Now that I'm thinking about it, I think I was the same situation as you. I went on MySpace, but I didn't friend coworkers. I friended a girl, and then we dated. Oh wow, we were both.
There you go.
We were both on the MySpace prowl those days, I guess.
MySpace.
September. It was probably That's probably exactly the same thing I did. Yeah, I was living alone as well. It wouldn't be till like a few years later, like a year later, we moved in, right?
Right.
Okay. But Steve, were you at the movie theaters this week of September 17th? If you were, you might have saw these top 10 movies. Coming in at number 10 was Crank. Number 9, Hollywoodland, which starred Ben Affleck playing George Reeves, who was the 50s TV Superman. So you got to see him dressed as Superman, and 10 years later, he was dressed as Batman. So you could say Ben Affleck has been both Superman and Batman.
And Daredevil.
No, we don't like to talk about that.
Fine.
And
I guess I didn't see it. And neither did he.
Number 8, we had Little Miss Sunshine. Number 7, The Illusionist. Number 6, Invincible. Number 5, The Last Kiss. Number 4, The Covenant. Steve, are any of these ringing a bell?
No, I saw Little Miss Sunshine. Yeah. And was The Illusionist the good one, or was that the other one? Because they had like a Deep Impact
it wasn't
situation there.
It wasn't Deep Impact. It was...
But you know that's the phenomenon where like a movie will come out and then another movie that's the same movie, like Volcano and the other one,
Dante's Peak. But that's what I was trying
to
make the pun when you said. Never mind. The Illusionist. I think you're talking about The Prestige.
Yes, that's.
But I think that came out like a few years later, like a year or two later. But I think The Prestige was supposed to be better. That was Chris Nolan, right? I think so.
Yeah.
when you said Deep Impact, that's what I was trying to think. What was that parallel movie to Deep Impact? Wasn't it?
Was in it with Ben Affleck?
Oh, Armageddon. Yeah. Jesus. You're right. Speaking of Ben Affleck as Superman and Batman, number 3 was Everyone's Hero, which I think did I skip 4, The Covenant? I might have.
Yeah, that's fine.
Number 2 is The Black Dahlia, and the number 1 movie making a whopping $14+ million was Gridiron Gang.
Most young people, they make a bad choice, they have their car keys taken away or get grounded. Then there are the ones that make a bad choice. Don't let me go! They get sent here.
You'll be here until the court decides what to do with you. Do you understand?
I said don't rush me. According to the teaching staff, the inmates here have trouble responding to authority, being a member of a team, and accepting criticism. Now, what one activity can improve them in all these areas?
So you want to start a football team?
Exactly.
Your neck is way, way out on this.
Everybody listen up. The gridiron is a football field. On the gridiron, we do it my way, not your way. Your way got you here. Damn 88. Whatever gang you claim, whatever hood you're from, this is your hood now.
Hustle, touch that line and get back.
I want to be a Mustang coach. I want to show people I can play. It's harder being a loser.
Who needs helmets?
Maybe when I get out, Mom, we can live together again. Football is great.
Dig in there.
I'm good at it now.
What
the hell is this?
A nose guard.
My kids have been in this program for 3 years. You have 4 weeks to prepare your team. Do you really want to go up against those kind of odds?
No problem.
We wanted to create self-esteem, but it was just the opposite. They can't handle that kind of disappointment.
Now it's time to see who has a heart. Now is the time to prove to yourselves and prove to everyone out there that even though you're locked up, you are somebody.
Not lose no more. All we gotta do is go out there and show it one more time.
That's why we're here, because we care.
Because the show ain't the money.
I feel like this time era I wasn't really moving it up, but if I look down at some of the down like 30 to 11 here, I did see Artie Lang's Beer League. Jesus Christ, Artie Lang's Beer League, which was number 28, made $320,000. Devil Wears Prada was up there. Superman Returns was in that list. There's some movies I saw. Yeah,
I think this is just a situation where they're coming off the summer hits.
Yes,
and this is kind of like the interim before your autumn horror movies and Christmas movies.
But
so it's kind of a weird time.
But why I brought up Artie Lang's Beer League was number 28. That was actually the opening week for that movie. So yeah,
wow.
But it was a small indie film. So Snakes on a Plane was 31. So there you go.
There we go.
Steve, what were we listening to?
Well, Craig, we were listening to Promiscuous by Nelly Furtado featuring Timbaland, Lips of an Angel by Hinder, Far Away by Nickelback.
That's your favorite song.
Yeah, my favorite band. Number 7 is Sexy Love by Neo. Number 6 is your favorite band, Snow Patrol with Chasing Cars.
Shut up, I liked them in that year.
Okay, that's fine. I have no strong opinions about them. Number 5, When You Gonna Give It Up to Me by Sean Paul featuring Keisha Cole.
I enjoyed Snow Patrol in the year 2006, and that was it.
Okay, that's fine. You don't need to be defensive about it. You're allowed to like a band. Number 4 is Crazy by Gnarls Barkley. Number 3,
Green, right?
Yeah, he's a creep, by the way, in case people don't know.
Oh, yeah, he's part of the Me Too movement, right?
Probably not as much as he should have been. The record industry needs to catch up with that.
Okay, Steve, pause. What did he do?
He drugged and maybe forced himself onto people.
It's a little Bill Cosby situation.
Yeah.
I smell a sitcom.
That's a show that I don't want to watch. Little dwarfy dude doing bad things with Cosby.
Where are we at?
Number 3, Buttons by the Pussycat Dolls featuring Snoop Dogg. Number 2 is London Bridge by Fergie.
I don't know why I said
That's okay.
I heard that song a lot when I worked at the pizza place. I hated it, but then like I got used to it. You know what I mean?
I don't know that I know. Yeah, I know what you mean. Like you'll hear a song and at first you hate it, and then you just kind of grow to be like, okay.
That's how I became a Regina Spektor fan, which the same year that Fidelity came out, which was like, I was so annoyed by that song. You know, it's the breaks my ha 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 ha. Oh
yeah.
And I was so annoyed by that song. And then for some reason I was like, no, now I like it. And then I think I bought the CD. No, I didn't buy the CD. I got the music.
You got it somehow, yeah.
A friend lent me their record and I listened to it. And then I listened to all the other songs on the album. I was like, oh shit, this girl can actually like sing and like writes her own music. And then I became like a huge Regina Spektor fan after that. So like that song itself is like not the best representation of her work. It's just what's her pop hit. And then everything else, like, yeah, because I'm still to this day, I'm number 1 Regina Spektor fan. That's literally the last concert I think I went to was a Regina Spektor concert. And that was 2009. Wow. Because I fucking hate going to concerts. No, that's not true. We saw, I think the last concert is actually I went with you. We went to see John Hyatt.
At the zoo,
that might have been the last concert I went to. And that was 20 years ago.
Like 4 years ago.
But Steve, this song that's number 1 is it's a great song. In fact, I want to listen to it now. Should we play it, or you just want to?
Yeah, let's play it.
I'm bringing sexy back. Yeah. The mother boys don't know how to act. Yeah. I think it's special what's behind your back. Yeah.
That's right. It's "Sexy Back" by Justin Timberlake,
or as I like to call him, the husband of Jessica Biel,
and my favorite SNL cast member.
He hasn't really been on since like Andy Samberg's left, and that was like a while back, right?
Yeah, I would just like him to make like a reoccurring appearance because he was fun.
He hasn't been on in a few years since we're recording this.
True.
Yeah, maybe he will be the new. Since you got Alec Baldwin is Trump, maybe he'll be Pete Buttigieg.
Oh,
although
yeah.
I feel like you'd have to actually cast a homosexual, actor to play Pete, right?
I would imagine. Although Beck Bennett kind of looks like him, and he could probably do it really well.
They do stunt casting with the president now. Well, just because of him. Wouldn't like a Neil Patrick Harris be a good one? I don't know.
Oh yeah, he'd be fun. Yeah.
There was some controversy with the crowd of Pete Buttigieg, which we were a fan of until he said something this week that really got to us nerds. He didn't know who Alfred E. Newman was.
Right, and how do you not know who Alfred E. Newman is? Like, even if you don't subscribe to it, like I do, Mad Magazine, that is, like, pretty big cultural icon.
Yeah. Oh, he's been around for 67 plus years, right? It's a huge. Howard Stern has been on the radio forever, and even as a kid, he knew who that was, and he's always said that too. Like, one of the greatest things ever was him being parodied on the cover of Mad Magazine. I think David Letterman even said that.
Yeah.
But so with that age range, like David Letterman, Howard Stern, like Pete he's older than us, right?
Right. He's probably like in his 40s.
So he should definitely.
Absolutely. And I feel like that's like one of your first forays into. It feels different than a comic book, and it's something that you should experience as a child or an adult.
No, definitely. Like as a kid, that was my first. I mean, going into like comedy, that's the first thing that you do, because it's the funniest thing. Because Mad Magazine, great. I don't know, how did you not? That's a cultural icon. But I also feel, since I'm a huge West Wing fan, that Jed Bartlett was so intellectual and he knew much about history, but he wasn't really a pop culture savvy. So I'm kind of digging that. Like maybe like Pete himself is he's like a Bartlett. Like he knows about America, like history, but like only like 100 years ago. Like he knows everything about the world, right? He might,
but he doesn't know the pop culture stuff. That doesn't matter.
That doesn't matter in the long run, right?
Yeah, maybe you're right. I don't know.
But then but
one thing that I should point
Trump
out is that we're not a political podcast.
Okay, but we can stand behind some people, right?
Yeah. I mean, I'm leaning towards another candidate currently, but that'll change. It's very early on in the race.
Who are we talking about? Elizabeth Warren?
Yeah, she has policies. That's a nice change of pace. So few candidates actually talk about what they're going to do.
Oh, I'm still voting for Hillary.
Okay.
And you're still going to vote for Nader.
Yep.
All right. Well, Steve, I think we should take a break, and we should come back and talk about this week's episode of The Simpsons that we all watched. Wait.
Yep.
Hold on.
We sure did.
Steve, I haven't watched this episode yet. Have you?
Well, truth be told, I haven't either.
All right. I'll drive to your place. I'll bring the VHS over. I'll pop it in.
I'll make some popcorn.
Okay. Do you have candles?
Yeah. Do you have lube?
Steve. Of course I do. It's still in my butt from last week's episode. All right. We'll be right back.
And we're back. Craig, today we're talking about Jazzy and the Pussycats. It is the episode 2 from season 18, originally aired September 17th, 2006, number 380 in the show's run. Your nerd code is HABF18. Was written by Daniel Chun, directed by Stephen Dean Moore, and your showrunner is one Mr. Al Jean.
Now, Steve, we've had an episode already on this podcast. Written by Daniel Chun. He wrote the Treehouse of Horror 20.
Oh, yeah.
So we're familiar with him. He also, wrote some episodes of The Office, some of this, some of that. So we're familiar with one Daniel Chun.
Prolific writer. So our couch gag is the Simpsons family sans Homer sitting on the couch, and then Homer reaches in and grabs Marge as King Kong, and then climbs up the Empire State Building, recalling another Treehouse of Horror, where he's King Kong.
Yes, yeah, I was thinking that. Like, I remember that from the Treehouse of Horror, but I also thought they might have already done this couch gag, but apparently I don't think they have, so.
Interesting. We start the episode at a funeral. It's a funeral for Homer's Vegas wife, Amber Pygow Simpson, from Diva Ned Flanders. And so at the church, we see on one side the deceased's Vegas friends, and on the other side, we see several Springfieldians paying their respects.
Hey, Steve. Did you notice the scene where I think it's still funny that all these Vegas people, or no, sorry, not Vegas, but all the Springfieldians were there?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, why, right? But
there's even like I think I see Rolf or
Dolph,
one of the bullies
that's what
crying.
I was going to say. That was the funniest thing. Willie's consoling Dolph. Like, why is he crying? I think that could
maybe.
I think that could be because Dolph, isn't he like 21?
And he does have a child. Maybe Amber has more than one ex-husband.
Ooh, I think you're coming onto something there, Steve. I think you're right. I think
Amber fucked a bully.
I think that's Dolph's kid's child who sleeps in a drawer. His mother.
Uh-huh.
Oh.
Yep.
All right, Steve. I'm going with this as canon. Put the official stamp of canon on this.
Canon. Chunk chunk.
I think I need a different sound for the canon stamp.
Cannon, chunk chunk.
That was creepy. I think I need more like a dum dum.
Cannon, dum dum.
Well, not like Law and Order. I was just making an example.
Cannon, doo da.
Cannon, wah wah. I don't know.
This is content. Yeah.
This is content you guys are getting for free.
Suckers. Okay. So, Bart quickly becomes bored and begins to misbehave, and he plays with a laser pointer and then a toy that every 10-year-old boy has, a paddle ball. And that leads to a very long visual gag of several people choking, including the Blue Men of the Blue Men group and various people.
Well, it turns out they're not blue after all.
Nope. They're just choking and sad.
I think one of the best like kid jokes is when Marge tells Bart, do you want to leave this funeral early? Yes, I do. Like, yeah. That's like any kid, but that's like any person, really.
Yeah, I totally, I've been in that situation where, like, do you want to just go? Like, yeah, let's not be out. Out is the worst.
Are you talking about your parents' funerals?
He did drag on a little bit long. And talk about preachy. Yeesh. That one guy up front would not shut up.
Jesus.
Oh, he was up there too.
You're like, enough already. I knew these people. You don't have to keep telling me about them.
Honestly, though, a weird story from I think it was my dad's funeral. My parents decided to start going to church later on in life, but they lived in the northern part of my city, Portland. And so they went to a historically black church. And the church preacher guy, the leader man, he was like wanting to sing songs with a lot of hand motions. And he got mad at me because I wasn't singing, like doing the motions or singing the songs that I didn't know. And it was a funeral. And I don't know these things because I don't go to church. And it was just weird.
Was it like the typical the praise Jesus hallelujah dancing around type of when you see like?
No, it's a bit more. No, I know what you're talking about. It looked a little bit more solemn, but also looked kind of like a hula dance.
Oh, weird.
Yeah, I don't know what it was. And yeah, it was just odd.
It was like a Jesus song.
Yeah, it was a Jesus song.
I mean, not related to death singing, but that's another thing I am not a fan of is when the happy birthday song, when they expect everyone to sing happy birthday. I don't want to sing happy birthday. It wasn't that a Curb Your Enthusiasm episode?
I think so, but nobody wants to. But like, if it's your birthday, you don't want to hear it.
No.
Like, what are you supposed to do with your face while that's happening? Like, it's a really awkward 45 seconds. Just like, hey, yeah, you guys are singing at me.
It's not even singing at you, but it's like being part of that. I don't want to sing the song.
No, yeah.
When I was in the KJ days, that was the worst thing ever. Is when it was someone's birthday, they got a free shot, and then I had to sing Happy Birthday. The Beatles had it right. They wrote a new birthday song, but it's too much money to pay for the rights for that song.
So we should just write and license our own birthday song.
All right, I'll do it right now.
And then sell it to chain restaurants. Okay.
Happy birthday from the Red Robin crew. Oh, wait a minute. That's the Red Robin birthday song.
Drat.
Oh, that's the worst, too, when you're at a chain restaurant and the birthday. I don't feel bad for the customers. I feel bad for the employees because they have to do it.
Right, and they might have to do it like 5 times in one night.
Jeez. The only big chain restaurant I actually go to, I just mentioned it, was Red Robin. I don't go to like an Applebee's or any other places, but the Red Robin for me is it's a cheap eats, so I hear it frequently. But at least Red Robins have bars, so you don't have to be with the kids, but you can still hear the kids.
Yeah,
but
so that's better.
I go for that bottomless broccoli, Steve, because I don't eat fries.
Your girlfriend must love you for that.
Well, no,
because of all the farts. I mean,
broccoli doesn't do that to me. No. I have.
So that's the one food that doesn't.
I'm better now at that because I don't eat like a lot of processed foods or carbs.
That's good.
Yeah, the fiber and the broccoli and Craig are simpatico.
Alrighty.
That's the one thing I could eat every day.
Broccoli is really tasty.
Yeah. What's your favorite way to cook the broccoli?
I like it roasted.
That's the way.
So it gets a little crispy.
Yep. Oh, that's the best.
Roasting vegetables is like a game changer for if you're a little child who hates vegetables, go to the oven, turn it on high, stick your hand in there with some vegetables. You'll be burning yourself, but you'll be in taste heaven.
Did you read the same Reddit article I did today about someone posted like why did you hate vegetables or whatever? And it was,
I did not. That's really funny.
But it was the same thing. It was like, I grew up because my parents would boil the vegetables to like a mush and it'd be gross. And I understand that. And it's like, it wasn't until I was an adult and found out, oh, you roast a vegetable and it tastes 100% better. Yeah, that's the total truth. Just roast any vegetable, right?
Yeah. Brussels sprouts are amazing.
Oh, yeah. And I remember as a kid, like the whole, like you'd see TV shows like, oh, gross, Brussels sprouts. And we never had Brussels sprouts growing up because I think maybe like my dad hated them because he grew up, his family or his mom was not the greatest of chefs. For them, spaghetti night was noodles with, I shit you not, and he told me this, it was noodles with Heinz ketchup. That was spaghetti. So
that's really sad.
He never knew flavor. And so and vegetables were just, mush.
Yeah.
And so I think Brussels sprouts must have been one of those things. But then roasting it, although I do have like a gross Brussels sprout story. It was, we bought them from the farmer's market and they were just covered in aphids. So cleaning wasn't fun, but we've been talking about vegetables here on Vegetable Talk for a nice 10 minutes. Let's get back to The Simpsons.
Alrighty. So,
has the show even started?
We were at a funeral and so after all that choking and stuff, Marge becomes frustrated with Bart's behavior and takes him to a child psychologist. And the doctor suggests Bart takes up the drums.
Well, he's got that mentality of a 7-year-old, Steve.
Right, but he is a 10-year-old.
Ooh, that's not good.
Oh, yeah, it's not good. The psychologist shows the drums to Bart, and his face lights up, and he takes right to it as he sees Homer in the drums, and he's just a natural at it. And then we get a run-in with the White Stripes.
Hey, kid, why don't you watch where you're drumming?
Sorry, White Stripes. No hard feelings?
Let's kick his ass!
Quite a long run-in.
Annoyed by Bart's persistent drumming, Homer busts out the white noise machine that they got when Marge's father died, which is interesting because I didn't know that Marge's father died.
Well, Steve, if you'd pay attention to The Simpsons, he's been dead pretty much since episode 1, I believe, or not episode, somewhere in the first or second season when we meet her mother. She's widowed.
Right. Yeah, but that's a really old white noise machine then.
Well, The Simpsons only exists within like a year.
That's true, I guess.
Saying that, yeah, her father did die.
Yeah.
And I lost my notes
also, that's okay. It is weird, too, that if somebody dies, you buy a white noise machine. I have a white noise machine, and it's great, but I don't know that it would console me after death.
No. What I was going to say about her father was, isn't it weird the animation of him kind of changed? Like, he didn't look anything like Marge. He was, in the first episode, the first appearance of him was in reminiscing about going to the prom together.
Yeah.
And then the next time we saw him he was an airline attendant, but he had like blue hair.
Yeah, he kind of almost looks like a Wiggum in a way.
Doing some more research. Apparently he lost a leg at one point, but it turns out in canon reference, he died of cancer, but he died of cancer when the kids were like toddlers or babies. Yeah. So there's your explanation of the death of Father Bouvier.
Alrighty. Well, so Bart continues to drum even in his sleep. And so Lisa offers to take him to the children's bebop brunch at Jazzy Good Times. I don't mean to question everything, but are jazz brunches a thing that I don't know about?
And especially with 8-year-olds.
Yeah.
That looks like it's in like a treehouse.
Yeah. I don't know. Good on them for having a jazz club in Springfield.
I like we do see some old faces that we haven't seen in a while. It's like Millhouse's like Samantha Stanky.
Mm-hmm.
There's a few times in episodes of The Simpsons where they show characters that they've introduced that's portrayed by someone famous. Just in the background, because I see Lisa's rival, the other Lisa, played by Lisa Kudrow. You see her a lot in future episodes, just as a background character. It's nice that that's in continuity.
Yeah, it's creating a whole city. It's kind of neat.
Because we see Ruth.
Oh yeah, she's often in the audience and stuff.
Yeah, that's fun.
Yeah. So Lisa and Bart jam with Database, Uter, Martin, and Ralph. They garner the attention of DeFonso Skinny Palmer and Marcus Marbles DeMarquez, 2 jazz musicians who, to Lisa's dismay, want to play with Bart.
That's a wrap, kids. Now go have some jazzy bread. That's bread that fell on the floor.
Excuse me, are you Lisa Simpson?
Yes, I am.
I'm DeFonso Skinny Palmer. This is Marcus Marbles DeMarquez.
Pleased to meet you.
We were about to play a quick set, and we were wondering if you, Lisa Simpson, would do us the honor of sitting in that chair in the audience. We want to jam with your brother.
Bart has a great set with the jazz bows, and Marge and Homer are impressed, but Lisa, she is jealous. She's losing her heart for jazz, which sounds familiar.
Did we watch an episode last week about Lisa losing her heart for jazz?
I think we may have. So, feeling that he's stealing her thunder, Lisa jumps on Bart's skateboard, running into several jars of spicy barbecue sauce in the Jazz Club gift shop. Okay.
Well, I like that.
There's a lot to unpack there.
I like that because it's like go for the mild, and spicy.
Because we all know that jazz clubs have gift shops, which absolutely sell barbecue sauce.
You're right.
Okay, that's fine.
Especially since it's like, no, you're right, yeah. The Jazz Club barbecues, yeah.
So the jazz guys give Bart the nickname TikTok because he keeps such a good rhythm, and Lisa the nickname Downbeat because she brings the mood down. So Bart goes on tour with the Skinny Palmer trio, impressing the town, including Gil Gunderson, who wants to be their manager, Lindsay Nagel, the sea captain, and Simpson writer George Meyer, who recently also appeared in the Poochie episode.
The same drawing, too. The same animation drawing style. Yeah.
Yeah. At first, I thought it was the guy from Fish.
Oh.
Because I know that the Fish was in an episode. I was like, is that the guy from Fish? And then I did some research, and I realized that, no, it's actually a writer.
Because he was famously next to Josh Weinstein and William Oakley in the Poochie episode. Yeah. Animated.
Yeah. Yeah. So Lisa is becoming increasingly depressed, and because Bart is on the cover of both local jazz magazines, Blowin' and The Sugar Sheet, while she's only on the cover of Dream Denied magazine. So, looking to console her, Marge takes her to the pound to get a puppy. and she falls for this scruffy older puppy with a bad
did
cough.
the scruffy older puppy kind of remind you of another certain animated dog from another Matt Groening animated series?
A little bit, yeah.
Now, it doesn't look like it just because it's, what was the dog's name from Jurassic Park? Seymour, right?
Yeah.
Ooh, Seymour, another Simpsons name. Yeah.
Huh.
But that would have been great. Like, oh no, would have made sense for Futurama. Never mind. I was gonna say, look, what if that was his dog? But it wasn't because Seymour sat there. God, talk about tearjerkers. That episode, Jurassic Park.
Oh, that's like, to me, one of the saddest moments in television history for me personally.
That's a good topic, Steve.
Yeah.
Is this an episode of Saddest Moments in TV History?
Saddest moments in TV history.
All right, Jurassic Park, definitely. What about when Colonel Klink died in MASH? It was the final episode.
When he was fighting the Nazis?
Yeah, and Hogan finally got out of the camp, and he's like, "Fuck you, Colonel Klink, you're a Nazi," and he shoots him. And it all happened on MASH, the sequel to Hogan's Heroes.
Right.
Because it was the Korean War.
And exactly. And when Alf destroyed the world.
Oh no! Yeah, no, dinosaurs. The final episode.
Yeah, that was actually.
Oh, that was pretty. But it wasn't as bad as Jurassic Park.
No, although the implications are a lot worse because
that's
died.
True. Not
but
the mama.
In a way, that's less sad because if everybody dies, it's all equal. So the end of the world isn't really that sad, is what I'm saying.
Was it not the baby or not the mama from dinosaurs?
Not the mama.
Okay.
Not the mama.
Yeah. Just another Simpsons ripoff. Of TV history. God.
Ooh.
Well, I think when
I've got a good one. The last episode of Wonder Years.
Oh, fuck yeah.
When he talks about his dad dying, that was really
it was
really
out
sad.
of left field, like, and that's the last time I saw my dad because he died the next year. It's like, well, fuck you. Like, you could have said nothing because now with all the ages of the reboots and the remakes, there could have been a Wonder Years now it's set in the 90s of a reunion episode because everyone is still alive on that show, right?
Yeah. Actually, I don't think so.
Oh no, did
I think the sister died.
She's alive. Olivia Diabo. Yeah,
okay.
She's fine.
Did Dan Lauria?
No, Dan Lauria's still alive. He's kicking. He still looks like Dan Lauria. He doesn't look like he ages.
Okay.
Yeah, they're all alive. I think they screwed up. I think they could have just not said that because that was not necessary. It's horrible. If you guys know your favorite, not your favorite, but your saddest TV moments, email us at 138simpsons@gmail.com or tweet at us at 138simpsons. But I gotta go Jurassic Park. Sad moment.
Yeah, it's a winner. So March takes Lisa to the pound to get a puppy, and so she falls for the scruffy one.
Steve, did you know that scruffy one looked like the dog from Futurama?
Oh yeah, that's one of the
Steve,
saddest moments.
What are some of your
history.
saddest moments in television history? Oh wait, Steve, is this an episode of Saddest Moments in TV?
Saddest moments in TV.
I really thought when
when Colonel Klink.
when Small Wonder realized that she was not a real girl, and then she killed herself.
Oh, by crying and shorting herself
I'm
out.
assuming that happened. Stay tuned for an upcoming episode of our new podcast, Small Wondering, with Stephen Craig, where we go through season 1 of Small Wonder, because I don't know if it lasted longer than one season, maybe 2.
Probably.
All right.
Maybe 2. So Lisa opts for a cuter, more healthy dog, and she's back at home cuddling with her new pet, and then the other dog haunts her.
Lisa Simpson, you doomed me.
I did? How?
By choosing the cuter puppy. You picked looks over personality, youth over experience, no history of rabies over unknown rabies status. And now I'm going to die.
I never wanted that to happen.
You suck. You suck. Oh, thanks, sweetie. You suck!
Not wanting the other dog to go to doggy heaven, Lisa returns to the pound, where she adopts the dog, as well as another dog, Smiley, and Henry the bird, who knows the pound owner's secret that she likes to put animals to sleep. We then get a fun tribute to Reservoir Dogs, where the animals and Lisa are walking to Little Green Bag, and they liberate other beasts, which they end up hiding in the attic. And we get a fun little moment with Homer.
And then today, at lunch, Lenny and I went to the park and rented a rowboat. Carl sketched us from the bank. Summer days.
So then Lisa runs to check on the animals in the attic, where she finds Bart and his Jazzy bandmates definitely not smoking reefer.
Bart, what are you doing here?
Not smoking reefer.
That's right. We all not smoking reefer.
hospital, he learns he'll never drum again. And Homer becomes a Mexican wrestler by the name of Taco Belly. Lisa and Marge try to find new homes for the animals before animal control gets involved. And then Bart tries to drum with one hand, and we get a fun visual gag, it's really cartoony, of a hand reaching up behind the curtain, pretending to be his other hand, but not keeping time. And then they're like, whose hand is that? And then the hand just holds up like a Looney Tunes-esque sign that says, gotta go. And then that's it. I like that because it's just really, really not, it's a non sequitur, and it's just so fun.
I'm always a fan of the Looney Tune gags.
It's just a nice homage. Okay. The jazz dudes decide to put on a benefit concert to earn money for Bart's arm surgery. And there's several musicians
that Krusty
lined up for the
announces.
Louis Martin, Willie Mims, Drop Jaws Turner, Sketch Friendly, Tootsie Childs, Sammy Biltmore, No Talent Jones, Anwar Benitez, Bossy Marmalade, Bad Check Mazursky, Ray Ray Takamura, Shaky Premise, Bootsy Crouton, Richard Sakai, The Premarital Sextet, CSI Miami, DW Jitters, The Chubb Group, Cantaloupe St. Pierre, and many, many more funny names.
Steve, what were some of your favorite names?
My favorite were Shaky Premise, No Talent Jones, Bootsy Crouton, and Premarital Sextet.
I think the Shaky Premise and Premarital Sextet were my favorites. Definitely.
Yeah. So Bart discovers empathy towards Lisa's plight.
Why are you sad? Thinking about your marriage?
If we can't find a home for those animals, they'll be put to sleep. Your sister's very upset.
Oh, I feel weird. It's like a potato chip full of shame, going down my throat sideways.
Honey, what you're feeling is called empathy.
Oh, now I'm gonna learn a new word.
Empathy means you're looking at Lisa and feeling what she feels. Your sister poured her heart into rescuing those animals to forget the pain of being upstaged in jazz. And now...
How can I end this torture?
You could do something nice for Lisa.
No. You're my mother. How can you say that? No.
So he decides to make the benefit concert proceeds go to Lisa Simpson's home for the abandoned animals. And he's made a little diorama.
I love that the animals need a roller coaster.
Yeah.
What animal doesn't love? I wonder this too, where they're she was adopting the animals and they're in the backyard. There was an elephant. Can we just say that was Stampy? Just
I assume so.
Because it had the same, the face, the eyes, just like I hate my life type of expression. Okay. Mm-hmm. So Steve, can we canonize that was Stampy?
Canonize.
Boop, boop. I'm not happy with that sound, but we'll find one.
Canonize.
Okay.
Canonize.
Can I go back to another thing? Like I like to remember when Krusty was listing off all the names. If you go to it, one of the names, I forget which one it was, but I wrote it down. The guy who was playing the xylophone looked like the guy that was singing. What episode was it? Where Homer dies from eating the fish in like season 2.
Yes.
Fugu.
The Fugu
it looked
episode.
Like one of the guys that was singing karaoke.
Well, Craig, I've got news for you. That was Richard Sakai, who is being depicted because he is a producer on The Simpsons and has been since the beginning. So you were seeing correctly. This is his second appearance.
Awesome.
Yeah. Good eye.
Do I get points or a prize or?
You get 4 Simpsons points and 3 Homer dollars.
What can I buy in the Universal Studios Simpsons ride with the 3 Homer dollars?
You can buy half of a Bart license plate tag.
I have one half. Is it the BO or the RT?
It's the RT.
What I have.
Bummer. So you get There's your cannon sound.
All right.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's basically the episode. They make the home for the animals, and everything resets, and it's happily ever after.
Well, Steve, what did you think of Jazzy and the Pussycats?
I thought it was a fun episode. It harkens back to earlier days. The jokes were solid. I think it's a good one. I'm gonna give it a 5 out of 7 drumsticks. I don't know why there's 7, but
I will give this episode. I agree. There was some story wise. It wasn't like super strong, and it wasn't like I do like when Bart and Lisa heartfelt things. Like Bart gives the money to Lisa, much as like he did when he his lawsuit against Krusty O's.
She buys the sacks on the beach.
So Bart really does care for his sister, which, we know that, and it's fun. So this is just like that episode, but it's sweet. So I give it 4 out of 20 reefers.
Yeah, buddy.
Anything else about this episode? Do we have any fun quotes?
See.
I think we talked about our favorite.
Yeah, I really like the jazz list, the musicians list. I thought that was fun.
Taco Belly. I feel like there was an episode probably already with Homer being a Mexican wrestler, Nacho Libre. I don't know.
Yeah, probably. I know that he was a boxer. I'm sure he's wrestled, yeah.
Yeah. Any other notes we got on this episode?
Dan Iverson of IGN quotes that, like the previous episode, it was decent and praised the strength of the 18th season so far. Simon Crare of The Times listed the White Stripes' performance as one of the 33 funniest cameos in the history of the show.
Really?
So, that's something. Andrew Martin of Prefix Mag named the White Stripes his 7th favorite musical guest on the show out of a list of 10. And Corey Dieterman of the Houston Press lists them as number 4 of the top 5 worst musical guests in Simpsons history. So critics have a lot to say about the White Stripes.
I want to say a little bit about the music in this episode. So the first song when we're going into Jazzy Good Times before Bart and Lisa play was Killer Joe by Benny Golson. We also heard The Hardest Button to Button by the White Stripes, which was parodying their music video with Bart playing the drums. Take 5 by Dave Brubeck was the song that Bart and Lisa played together. And then Little Green Bag by George Baker Selection is heard as Lisa walks down the street with the assortment of animals. Very musical episode.
Yeah. Craig, are you much of a jazz head?
I was back in the school days because I performed in the jazz band in middle school and high school. And then I also listened to a lot of it. But after that, I kind of dropped out.
Yeah, me too. I was really into jazz drumming. Your Buddy Rich and your Gene Krupa and the ba-da-boop-ba-doo.
Buddy Rich was
I found
Buddy Rich was Johnny Carson's favorite musician.
Also a real asshole.
Johnny Carson?
I
think so.
Well, maybe. But Buddy Rich. There's audio clips on YouTube that I highly recommend people look up and be horrified by what a dick he is.
I'm looking forward to that. I guess I grew out of jazz music and grew into jizz music.
Oh, yes. I love jizz.
That's right. The George Lucas music of the Star Wars universe. That's right. It's called jizz music. And it goes a little... Yep. You listen to jizz.
Yep.
Why would they name... That had to have been slang back in, even before Star Wars, right?
Yeah, right. And as Bart points out, you could have just called it jazz.
They probably... I wonder if the joke was going to be like, Lisa, teach me about jizz. And they wouldn't let that go past the censors, because you can imagine that joke, right?
Right. But that's also kind of a hat on a hat, because it's is it a Star Wars joke or is it a semen joke?
I think at that time when this episode was 2006, right? 7? I don't know if I knew that knowledge of those. I only learned about that. It was called jizz music a year ago. But I think there might have been a reference. No, you know what? I think the reference came out in a book in 97 or something. A Star Wars book. I don't know.
Right.
Got fans out there. Tweet us at 138 Simpsons with your jizz knowledge. We want to hear.
Yes. When did you first discover jizz?
That and more on our next podcast. We'll talk all about jizz. So anything else on this episode you want to talk about? Just overall.
I think that's all I got. It's a fun episode. You're right. The plot is a little weak with the stuff, but it's overall, it's fun. Had some solid jokes, good visuals. I liked it.
Again, with last week's episode, very visual oriented. Not a bad. I recommend if you guys haven't watched it in a while, go for it. It's fun.
Yeah, it's fun.
So, Steve, should we take a break and finish up the show? All right,
Sounds
guys.
like a plan.
We'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back to the episode. Steve, we're going to end things here with something a little different. It's going to be boring show talk. Not episode talk, but the future of the podcast talk. So as I talked earlier about, so I says to Mabel, I says, when I was talking to you earlier about bored at work and making the spreadsheet, I was going through the seasons 11 through 30 and writing down all the episodes and then highlighting the ones and numbering the ones that we have done. Now, full disclosure to our fan out there, not all the times we've been truthful when we were spinning the wheel. There's been a few instances.
Oh, Craig.
There's been a few instances where we might have spun the wheel a couple times. There was an instance in the third episode of the season. I think it was the third episode where when we spun the wheel, it was the same season. It was like season 17, I believe. And I didn't want it to be like our fourth episode to be from the same season because we're still in our infancy now. But even then, I was like, okay, let's spin it again. I don't want it to be 2 season 17 episodes in a row, even though the show's supposed to be a random. I said no, and then I think prior episode we did a Treehouse of Horror episode, and then the week after we did an episode, it spun and it was another Treehouse episode, and I felt like I don't feel like we need to do 2 Treehouses within the same month.
Right, and those are hard to do.
Yeah.
Too.
And then there was another episode, I think, that came up that was such a good episode. I wanted to wait till our production was better and we'd get more fan base to do this episode. And so I vetoed that. And yeah, so other than those like 3 instances, everything else has been legit. And so going through this, making the spreadsheet, I realized we have done, as the 16 episodes, and there's 20 seasons that we're reviewing right now. We've done an episode from each season minus 4 we haven't done. And I thought, let's turn this into a season podcast. And what I mean by that is like a lot of podcasts, like let's say you're doing an X-Files podcast, right? So you do like seasons 1 and then 2 and 3 and 4, in chronological order. And a lot of these podcasts will do like a season 1 and they'll take a break. Just much like how TV shows work, we'll take a break between seasons. We're not going to take 3 months off like an actual TV show. So we want to, we want to take like a week off. So we're going to turn this podcast into, well, this is what I'm thinking. I haven't told this to Steve yet, but we would do, based on like the number of episodes for a Simpsons season is about 22. So I want to turn our like podcast seasons into 22 episodes. We're at episode 16 in this podcast, so that means we got 6 more episodes to go for the season, right?
Right, that makes sense.
But I want to have like a clean number, and I want to have the next 4 episodes do episodes that we haven't done from the 4 seasons that we haven't done. But then the following last 2 episodes of our quotation season, we'll be back to the spinning wheel. So this is how I thought in my mind is like, if we were to release the DVD set of not us doing the podcast, but of the series, it would be season 1 of The Simpsons, all 22 episodes. So starting with like episode 1 of the very first show would be, what was our first episode? Dial In for Nerd. Dial In for Nerd is the very first episode of The Simpsons. So we get an episode from each season plus 2 so far. Now, I'm wondering, Steve, going forward, and I'll get into how we're going to choose the next 4 episodes or next 6 episodes. Does that mean if we do 22 episodes, because we know The Simpsons is guaranteed till season 32, which would make it 22 episodes. Does that mean, well, we'll probably do like within this summer before The Simpsons premieres again, we'll get another season in before for season 31 starts up. But does that mean we get to, let's say if we do an episode from season 11, is that it? So is 11 off the table for the rest of the season? Because
I don't know, because we were talking about doing the mini-sodes of the latest episode.
Right.
So I think we can keep season 11 on the table and just keep on going until we run out.
You know what I'm saying is, like, let's say there's like, we spin the wheel. Let's say we do our season 2 and we spin the wheel and we get 2 episodes. Like we do a season 15 episode and then like 2 weeks later we get another season 15 episode. Does that mean that we have to do season 15, or is that off the table? Do we try to do an episode?
Oh,
I think
I see what you're saying. Yeah,
though, doesn't it?
Yeah, it kind of does. I think that we should just kind of play it loose. And as long as we have some gaps, so we're not doing the same season repetitively, we can keep them on the table. Because I don't think there's anything wrong with doing 2 season 11s, say, in one season, but I don't want to do, 4 in a row that are all from season 15.
We wouldn't do that. And that's why I think, because there's 20 episodes or 20 seasons that we're reviewing. I feel like for the next 4 episodes, let's plan those episodes out. So we have yet to do episodes from seasons 22, 23, 26, or 27. So I thought it'd be kind of fun if the next 4 episodes, we plan those out. So you as a listener can say, oh, they're going to be doing this episode. Sorry, we're doing the 20th seasons. But I just want to have our very first season have an episode from every seaon. Because it wasn't planned that way, but when I was doing the spreadsheet, it was like, oh my God, it's kind of planned this way. And but once we get to episodes 21 and 22 of our of this podcast, it will obviously will be in episodes from 11 to 30. We won't know then. But this one we're gonna take the wheel. We're gonna put it back in the shop because it's gonna be fixed for a month, right?
Spun it too hard.
So I thought of a fun little game is which I brought up a previous episode was I was going to give you the title and then you had to guess what the episode was about. So we're going to do that. And Steve's going to pick 2 episodes and I'm going to pick 2 episodes and of the ones we wanted to do. And we're going to have to think what that episode's about. And then the other person is going to say what it actually is about, just based on title. So Steve, do you want to do the honors? Do you want to be the first and then penultimate? Or do you want to be the last to choose?
I think I'll open it up.
So you got from seasons 22, 23, 26, or 27, based on the episode titles.
Okay. I'm looking at the episodes now, and none of them are ringing any bells, to be honest with you.
Even Treehouse of Horror?
Well,
can we pause for that for a second? Can we also make a rule that we will only do one Treehouse of Horror for every 22 episodes?
Absolutely. We'll let it fall where it may,
yeah, exactly. If it falls... Oh, that's a good question. What if in the 22 episodes that when we spin the wheel, it doesn't fall? I feel like we need to do one every season, though.
Yeah, that should be a rule. That's a rule. It's canon. Chunk.
Do we make it like every? Because if you look at the spreadsheet that I put out, it looks like Treehouse is like almost every 4th. When it gets older, it's like every 4th or 3rd episode. Do we do? Because this isn't going to be like in October, so we have to Do we make it mandatory that every...
What we should do is find a date that we know that we want to do it, and then we'll just randomly pick one of the remaining Treehouse Horror.
I was going to say, what about every 13th episode is our Halloween episode?
Oh, okay. That makes sense. 13 spooky.
I don't know. But that's not how Halloween works for The Simpsons. It's always... Or do we just where the shoe lands? I don't know.
Yeah, maybe we just let it happen where it may.
If we get down... Yeah.
We just and if we get down to it and we haven't done one yet, we will pick one at random. Yeah.
All right. Well, if you guys got any ideas of how we should do the Treehouse, just tweet us at 138simpsons or email us at 138simpsons@gmail.com. But this show's an ongoing process, so...
Yep, we're always learning and always growing.
All right. So back to... Let's do our picks.
Alrighty. So I'm looking at season 22.
This is where you want to start. Okay.
And I think I'm going to start with 22, and I'm going to go with Flaming Moe.
All right. So Steve, your pick is Flaming Moe, based on the famous drink.
Yeah, I wanted to throw it back to an older.
Because it was called
classic
Flaming
episode.
Moe. It's called Flaming Moe's, and as I type in Flaming Moe, it actually gave us that episode. So season 22. That's fine.
It's like
11th episode. Okay. Here we go. You know what, Steve? You have to say what you think that episode's about.
All right. Judging by the name, I want to say that I don't think that Moe thinks he's gay, but maybe he opens a gay bar?
Steve, you're pretty much correct here. Based on Google, it says, when Smithers transforms Moe's pub into a refined and trendy lounge, the establishment becomes Springfield's local gay hangout. You ready for the B story? Principal Skinner falls for the new free-spirited music teacher played by Kristen Wiig. All right, so next week's episode is Flaming Moe, season 11. Or not season 11. Season 22, episode 11. Okay, Steve. you did season 22. I'm going to do season 27. And I'm looking at episode 13. It's called Love is in the Nitrogen, Oxygen, Argon, Carbon Dioxide, Neon, Helium, Methane.
Wow, good
I
for
know
you.
my periodic tables.
Wow, you're real nerdy. What do you think happens in that episode?
It's a Professor Frink episode where he falls in love. It's probably like a Nutty Professor type episode, right?
Wow. So Professor Frink's new invention turns him into a ladies' man, while a new peel at the Springfield retirement castle causes Grandpa to hallucinate back to his happiest moments. So yes, exactly
I just want to say that I knew all those codes, and not because of. I thought it was a fun episode because it was. I actually had to look at. I knew it was like Love is in the Air, but it was actually like the whole elements that makes up Earth's atmosphere. So yeah, so that's going to be our next episode, right? Season 26 and
2 weeks
season
from
23 for you to choose from.
Alrighty, let's go back to season 23, and I'm gonna look up.
No, I'm going. I'm looking up.
Yeah, no, I'm gonna look up the episode.
Oh, okay.
I'm gonna look at the titles.
No cheating.
I'm gonna say How I Wet Your Mother.
All right, let's hear the clean version, Steve.
I'm gonna say that somebody has bladder control problems. Well, maybe it's a Maggie and Marge episode, and Maggie is like potty trained, and so she's like more independent, and that hurts Marge's feelings.
Is that your final episode?
Yeah, I think so.
Episode. Well, here's what it is. When Homer's bedwetting worsens, his family tries to infiltrate his dreams to find out the source of the problem. I googled it and I see Mona Simpsons in the. So it might be
okay. So we'll get some piss play from Homer and some mommy issues.
So it's down to me, right? Down to season 26. All right, Steve. I know what happens in this episode, but can we do it? I'm looking forward to this. Steve, we're going to do the 6th episode of 26. It's called Simpson-orama. And I have the feeling that the gang from Futurama comes to visit the Simpsons.
Oh, boy. I don't think I ever... I'm trying to remember if I watched that one. And I think I did, but I barely remember it. But that's fun.
I feel like
that's a good one.
That's a good season finale of our show, but we have 2 more episodes for the season. So
that's right.
I think that's a fun one. So, guys, you got your homework, right?
Yep. They can start watching, start making notes, and look for our episodes to come out with the excitement and joy that we usually bring.
I am looking forward to that Simpson-orama, but okay. Other than that, anything else to add, Steve?
I think that's all we have. It's always a pleasure to do this, I suppose.
Oh, thanks.
With you?
Well, go ahead and reach out at us at 138 Simpsons on Twitter, Facebook, Instagram.
And you can always email us at 138simpsons@gmail.com.
All right, for this week, I've been half a host, Craig.
And I've been your other half host, Steve.
Next Thursday.
Bye.
I love you so much.
Who's gonna get neutered tomorrow? You are? Oh, yes, you are.
Damn you. Now get the hell out of here.